We care deeply about the precious metals. So when some news comes out, when we hear data that doesn't look real favorable for the metals, we want to dig into it and see if it really has any meat. Or does our thesis behind why we hold silver, gold, and platinum remain intact? Recently, we got some news from the COMEX about a major sale. I'm going to talk about that. How does 50 million ounces, yes, 50 million ounces of silver, think about how that relates to the total amount of silver that's mined every year. 50 million ounces, a sale. Again, I'm going to give you details on that a little bit later. But also, we've been getting some recent data about investor demand for silver. We know what happened back in March and April. We had demand for silver in particular like we've really never seen before. All the major online bullion dealers were reporting sales figures, new customer acquisition like they haven't had in years. I heard one of them say that in like a 6-week period, they gained like twice as many customers as they had acquired over the last 18 months. So we know we had robust demand earlier in the year, but what is going on now? I talked with CoinShop Chris, I talked with a couple other people, but we also have some other data that shows investor demand's pulling back a little bit. But why? Why would investors be shying away from the precious metals? Let's talk about this. 2023 in the United States so far has been a gangbuster year for demand of silver. That's good news for us, right? We silver investors, we like to hear about demand. Gold investors like to hear about high demand, okay? But last year, let's talk about India. Last year, hey, wow, Silver State. Thank you, yes. Keep up the good fight. Basement dwellers, silver warriors, gold warriors, platinum warriors, we will keep up the good fight. India, last year, 2022, imported over 300 million ounces of silver. That, my friends, was like 30% of the world production. There was about 1 billion ounces between mining and recycling, mostly mining. But India gobbled up 30% of the world's silver. Some people say it was for solar manufacturing. What's interesting, you may not know this about India, is that the younger people are developing more of a taste for silver. They still love their gold in India, no doubt. Do you know that in India, the households, just the households in India, have 25,000 metric tons of gold, more than 3 times what we supposedly have at Fort Knox here in the United States. Nonetheless, they gobbled up 30% of the world's production of silver last year. It was astounding, right? That has fallen off a bit of a cliff this year. Why? And this is going to be a recurring theme. Apparently, there were some changes in the tax code. That's the best that I can dig up to explain why demand for silver in India has kind of fallen off. Now, in the United States, like I said, we've this year, from a numbers perspective, have remained robust. But in India, it's fallen off a cliff. Do you know who the third largest buyer of silver from an investment perspective is? You may find this surprising, and it's kind of a dark horse that a lot of us don't talk about, but it's very important, and it's a huge economy. That would be Germany. Those Germans, and I have a German last name, but I think I'm only like 6% German. Nonetheless, those Germans, are you a German? We got some Germans watching us right now. I know that. They love their precious metals. And I wonder why, right? I wonder why. Well, maybe it has something to do with the fact that they have a good, solid memory of what it's like to go through hyperinflation. They have learned from their grandparents what happened in a state. Have you ever seen those pictures before World War II when the German currency became basically worthless? Their government spent too much money. Does that seem like a recurring theme? There were some issues. People were taking wheelbarrows full of currency, paper. They were taking wheelbarrows to go buy a couple loaves of bread. They were burning the currency in their fireplaces to generate heat, to heat their homes. Wow. Okay, so they remember. Well, the Germans have traditionally been big buyers of silver, and I imagine gold as well. However, this year, demand for silver coins in particular in Germany has fallen off a cliff. Now, I wonder why. Can you wonder why? Who can answer me? Who can answer why German silver coin purchases have fallen off a cliff? You know what? There might just be a prize in it for you. Whoever gets it first. It's one word. All right, guys? It's one word. Who can answer it? And there's a prize. Okay? Yes, snake bite. You got it, buddy. Snake bite. You guys want to see what taxes? It's taxes. You guys want to see what snake bite won? You can thank your friend Abram, okay, because he is who supplied these. Snake bite, I'm going to send you one of these. A Utah Goldback. Beautiful, right? I've made videos about Goldback. I talked with the CEO. Really a cool product. I'd recommend you check it out. All right. They're not officially sponsoring me, but I did get these sent to me from our friend Abram, who's in here. Snakebite. I'm going to send that to you when you send me an email with your address. Taxes. Thank you, Sharon, for the super chat. So is that a recurring theme we're seeing? India, taxes. Germany, taxes. What is going on? And it's not killing the right. We know there's still a very strong story for our friend silver, no doubt about it, right? And we have a vested interest in that. We are the basement dwellers. We love our silver. We love our gold. We are enthusiasts. Yeah, maybe we have a problem. I don't know. Not really. We're just wanting to learn what's going on, and we want to learn how to protect ourselves. But nonetheless, it's taxes that keep killing. It's 19% in Germany. It's that VAT tax, value added tax. Look, it makes me angry. Does it make you angry? Most of you are probably in the United States. Some of you are in Europe, okay? How in the world could you imagine, right? Right now, let's say you want to go buy, let's for simplicity's sake, say that you want to go buy a nice silver sovereign coin, a kangaroo. And let's just for simplicity's sake, say it's $25. And you had to go buy that. You paid the $25, but then you had to pay another $5 on top of that in tax. Does it make any sense? Does it make any sense whatsoever? I'm going to go on that quick rant, and I hope this angers you as well. Taxing precious metals is ridiculous. You can't tax money. They can, and they do. Gold and silver are money. How can you tax money? I'd love to use this example. It would be like you going to your grocery store, or let's say you go to the grocery store and you have a $10 bill and you want to get 10 single dollars. You hand it to the cashier, say, hey, would you mind giving me some change? And they hand you $8 back, 8 singles, and say, oh, where's my other 2? And they say, well, that's the 20% tax that we charge. You would be outraged. They should do that before they tax when people convert. Oh my gosh, it's not buy. Now I'm in big trouble with CoinShop Chris. And if I don't forget to tell you about the links, CoinShop Chris is going to be even madder at me. And I don't want that. You're right. Okay. It's not buy. You aren't buying. You're converting. You're converting paper into real money. When you convert, maybe that's a way. Maybe some people in Germany, when they go to they should say, no, I'm not buying this. I'm converting. So there's no tax. Maybe we need an international trade and currency attorney to review that for us. If you're converting, there's no tax because you're not buying anything. And it's ridiculous that there's tax. Now, in the United States, it's very confusing. I dug in, and I'm not going to give any definitive info, okay? God forbid I give you any definitive info in here in the basement. But I'll tell you, there are still a few states in the United States that charge sales tax. However, most don't. When I go to a local coin shop here in Missouri, I never get charged tax, right? I think in Florida, there's certain limits. In California, I think Mississippi got rid of theirs. I think it may be, hey guys, if you, that would be very interesting in the chat. If you live in a state where you have to pay sales tax, tell us. And tell us roughly what it is. Is it 5%, 10%, 8%? Because it's ridiculous. You know, there is a big wave. We had a wave of legislation in the United States for states that were working on letting their citizens reclaim their right to use gold and silver as real money. But the first step for a lot of these states is eliminating the sales tax, because that is just ridiculous. How can the German officials justify what is going on? A 20% tax. Maybe in the United States we need to pay heed, right? People talk about being afraid of confiscation of silver, confiscation of gold. And let me tell you, I am not afraid right now of silver or gold being confiscated. I'm more afraid of silver potentially being confiscated as under the guise of it being a critical element needed for industry in some way, and the government saying, sorry, you need to turn in all your silver, right? Like they did with gold back in 1933. Now, I don't believe we're going to have gold confiscated in this country anytime soon, okay? I really don't. And Bald Guy Money, I always give him credit for this. He came up with this solid argument against it, because if they don't have to confiscate it, they can just buy it. They can print as much. Hey, you got it. Snakebite, thank you for the super chat, my friend. Very much appreciated. Very much appreciated. They don't have to confiscate your gold. Okay, now silver could be different. We're going to talk about that. But to get the gold, all they have to do, if the Fed wants gold, what do they have to do? Oh, here, I'll press my computer. Here, I just created, $100 billion out of thin air. Let's go to the COMEX and buy $100 billion worth of gold, right? And that's pretty much the same with a lot of the central banks around the world. You hear about the central banks buying more and more gold. I have to wonder, are they like smart and say, you know what? We can just print some money and go buy some gold and have it shipped over from New York or from our friends at the LBMA, the London Bullion Market Association in London, England. It's very interesting. There's some really strange things going on right now. Let's get back to this fall in demand from an investor perspective in silver, or a reduction in demand, okay? Because we don't have the overall picture yet. But the other critical component that could be going on, and I think, and CoinShop Chris can correct me on this if I'm wrong, is people don't have as much money. The economy, especially here in the United States, silver, all right, the stackers, like generally speaking, okay, we're a lot of middle class-ish for whatever level of middle class is left in the United States. We know how that feels, but nonetheless, silver's bought by a lot of normal people like us, right? Well, the normal people are getting squeezed in this economy, right? Imagine if 3 years ago, if you went to the grocery store today and the prices were what they were 3 years ago, you might have an extra $80 a week, $50 a week that could be used towards silver. So the other, the taxes on a worldwide basis are constricting the demand from an investor perspective for silver in the United States, and potentially also throughout the world, the slowing economy, right? I know. I almost feel like I'm an un-American sitting here saying the economy is not doing great. The Bidenomics, I think they call it, the Joe Biden economic miracle, right? Well, ask a middle-class person about the economic miracle that's going on. So that could also be constricting. What about those 30,000 people at Yellow Trucking, the third largest trucking company in the United States, that all lost their jobs a week ago? Our hearts go out to them, right? Well, you know what? Some of those people are silver stackers. Who knows, right? What do we say? 1 in 100? What would that be? 300. Oh, I got to ring the bell. Sorry, Susie's yelling at me. Sorry. Here, Silver Bell. We got 100 thumbs up. I appreciate it. That means 10 rings because it's ringflation. One ring for each 10 thumbs up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. Now I lost my train of thought. Oh, 30,000, right? People lost their job. 1 in 100 is what? 300 if my math is correct? Yes. Right? So that's 300 people who aren't getting a paycheck or may not be getting a paycheck soon that can't buy silver, that might actually have to flip and sell some silver, sell some gold. So we got to factor in also that as the economy slows. Now, when it gets really bad, this is the good news from that perspective. You know what's going to happen if when the economy really bites, and we're right on the precipice. Is that the word, precipice? Edge. We're right on the edge. I don't like using big words, okay? I'm just not good at it. But precipice, which I think means edge. Nonetheless, we're right on the edge of moving into a really bad economy. And you know what that guy, our old friend Jerome Powell, right? And what's her name? What is her name? Oh, yeah, Janet Yellen. You know what they're going to do, right? Spend, spend, spend. It's hard to think they could spend. They're already spending $1.4 trillion a year more than they're bringing in, our U.S. government, that they could actually spend even more, print even more. And that's, guys, Lynette Zhang said it, and I think it's so true. The reason why things right now to you may feel confusing and maybe even a little bit angering is because likely nobody has a crystal ball, nobody, but likely we're near the end where we're going to see some really major events because the system is fragile. The system is very delicate right now. You know, it's like I don't know how good. I love analogies, but you know, it's like somebody who's been in a bad accident. They've been all stitched up and put back together, and you know, they become much more delicate and fragile, and that's what we've got going on here in the United States. So, in the big picture, right, the story, the thesis for silver, for gold, for platinum definitely remain in place. On the short term, you know. Guys, if you're going to be invested in the precious metals, you got to be prepared mentally for some rocky roads, right? For some wavy weather, because it's an up and down. You know, it's choppy water right now. However, the long-term thesis, right? And when I say long-term, we're not going out that far, right? I mean, we could be talking 6 months, 12 months, 18 months. Things look like the overall conditions, the winds, right, that are affecting the price of silver, gold, and platinum are going to be shifting. And oh God, I can't. Does this get you as excited as it gets me? Okay, this is the exciting part. Silver and gold have been fighting a valiant fight for the last 2 years. That's a fact, okay? I know we all think silver should be at 40, whatever, but the silver's done pretty well. Gold is still hanging in there above 1900, and it has been fighting against a strong headwind. A strong headwind, right? So sentiment is down. All it's going to take, and we've seen hints of this, when people just barely start to think, ooh, the Fed's gonna pivot a little bit, barely, and I mean just barely, just an itsy bitsy bit, right? Just barely. Thank you for the super chat, Mr. Monitor. I'd like to see Yellen go. Yeah, well, when we get just a barely shift in sentiment, not a major shift, not a 180. Let's say a 10-degree. We've had a couple 5-degree shifts. The prices fly. What happens if we get a 20-degree or a 30-degree or a 90-degree shift, okay? In the sentiment, in the feeling. We know what happened back in March and April. Again, I say it every darn time I talk to you, but guys, remember what happened during the little banking crisis, right? People, you could not. Thank you, Ron McAdams. Wow, you guys are overwhelming me with your generosity. Thank you. It goes a long way to help support the channel, and it means a lot. Thank you. But we know when we had that little shift in sentiment back in March, April, you couldn't find silver. You couldn't, like I said earlier, right? Right? The online bullion dealers had record sales, and I'm going to talk to I have a potential new sponsorship coming up. I want to talk to these guys about what it was like during that period when we had that little shift, okay? Because I have a feeling from everybody I've talked to that it was absolutely crazy. Let's move on. Well, I want to talk to you about a 50 million ounce silver sale. We're going to get to that next. I just want to say hi to a few people. Keith Fast Landing, Nasir, Paul Beeler. Oh, before I forget, guys, there's a lot of scammers on YouTube, okay? Be careful. They will impersonate me, like my face picture. They will put comments in the comment section saying, hey, click on this link, or thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Daniel. Again, you guys are overwhelming me this morning. They will say, click on this link. They will say, call me on WhatsApp. I will never, I repeat, never request that you call me on WhatsApp or click on some goofy link. Be very, very careful. I don't want you to get hurt. And that's not just with me, but that's anything on YouTube in general. Always be careful clicking on links if you're not sure where it came from. If you get a text or an email, okay, that's like I forget the term, but safety, online safety 101. Also, we are, if you want to share a link with the community, please don't put it in a comment. All you have to do is email it to me. Ron's basement, right? Where are you right now? You're in the basement. You're a basement dweller, and I'm glad you're here. Thank you. Please subscribe if you haven't done that already, because I will be putting out a new video every day for the rest of my life. You can watch me to deteriorate as I get older. further deteriorate, but nonetheless, you'll have a friend for life, okay? And it's always going to be about our favorite subject, silver and gold. So please subscribe. And thank you for the thumbs up. That really helps. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. Send me if you want to share. And that's great that you want to share something with the community. I love getting emails from you guys. Send me an email with the link and I'll post it on the community page, which will actually get you more exposure than just having it kind of buried in the comments section. Okay. I'm happy to do it as long as it's not like, I don't know, weird pictures or something like that. No weird stuff. Preferably something somehow to do with silver or gold. All right. All right. Chris is a sweetheart. Sharon Johnson. And the other thing about Chris, he's going to get mad at me for saying this. Coin Shop Chris. The one and only Coin Shop Chris. And we got another video. We have 2 videos out this weekend. One about the banks that either came out. Did it come out already this morning? I believe it did. Anyway, or it's coming out today. Coin Shop Chris loves ding-dongs. That's kind of a joke between us. He calls me a ding dong, and I don't know what's going on. Roger Yao says, stack the cheapest silver because when selling, you don't lose money on high purchase premiums. Yeah, let me touch on this when it comes to silver and buying silver. I do avoid any of the novelty items. Let me show you an example of a novelty item. But this novelty item, it was like $30 an ounce. This is a 3-ounce silver heart that I bought for Susie for Valentine's Day. It's from Bison Bullion, I believe they're called. Anyway, I got it at my local coin shop. It was like silver was like 24 an ounce. I paid 30 an ounce for it. That's a novelty item. But that was an expression of my love for Susie. I don't know, though. Maybe as I think about it, I was being a little selfish because I like silver so much. But anyway, I thought it was an expression of my love. There's a lot of other novelty items out there. Goofy coins that are colored. Hey, that's great if that lights your wick. Sorry, I had something go down the wrong throat. And it wasn't air. Wrong tube. Anyway, if that's what you like, but if you want silver, don't buy the Star Wars Jedi coin for $85 that's colored in and all that great stuff. Okay. If you're trying to stack silver, if you're trying to, I don't know, whatever, get enjoyment or makes you happy to see that. That's great. That's great. But realize that if you buy these novelty type items, guys, you're paying a huge premium. And I would recommend buying 2 ounces over one of these goofy coins. And, the same thing with numismatics, unless you know what you're doing, right? Numismatics means the collectible coins that are supposedly graded, whatever. Man, you got to really know what you're doing if you're going to invest in those things. If you do, you can do really, really well. But if you're somebody like me, I don't know a lot, okay? Coin Shop Chris knows a lot. He'll tell you, I'm not an expert, blah, blah, blah. Well, anyway, he knows a lot, okay? Somebody like him can do well potentially with collectible coins. He knows what's a good value. For me, hey, I'll buy 1 ounce Krugerrands or 1 ounce Britannias or a 10-ounce bar or something like that because I know what I'm getting, right? And I want to make sure I'm getting good silver and gold, at a good price. And look, no doubt about it. Some of the coin you can do well. All I'm saying is if you don't know what you're doing, beware because you can get, I'm going to say ripped off, but for lack of a better way to say it, you can get ripped off, right? Coin salesman. I went to the big Missouri coin show just the other day at St. Charles Convention Center. There were like 600 people. I was like, and Coin Shop Chris is like, did you buy anything? I'm like, no, because I don't understand that side of the business. I understand silver and gold stacking, platinum stacking, the fundamentals, right? How to get a good value. But if you don't know what you're doing and you go to a big coin show, hey, those guys are there to make money. Okay. No offense. Right. And I don't know what I'm doing. I don't want to get ripped off. So just, be careful. Darn it, there was something big, and it'll come back to me. I got some more big things to talk about. Let's talk about the 50 million ounce silver sale, and I'll explain that to you here. This comes from a guy named Theodore Butler, and he's got a subscription service. He's well known. He knows more about the COMEX and the LBMA. Now, those are the electronic exchanges, those nice upstanding, honest people, right, in Chicago and New York and in London, England, that set the price of silver and gold. And this is about silver, so we're going to focus on silver. Ted Butler knows more about what goes on at those exchanges than anybody, okay? So this he published. It's a premium service, but he published this, so it's out there. You can go Google Ted Butler silver, and you'll be able to find this. This one, I got it off of investinghaven.com. Okay, so it says data published in the Commitment of Traders report over the past 4 weeks. This was published on July 30th. Indicate a number of highly unusual things. Sharon. Oh my gosh, thank you. Wow, what a generous gift. And we will put that towards the girls' bikes because the new bikes weren't cheap. So, thank you, Sharon. Wow, that's awesome. Sorry, I got off track there for a second. Highly unusual COMEX silver futures positioning. Okay, this is the futures market. This is the electronic silver. Remember, there's 1 billion ounces of silver produced every year. 1 billion, right? Sometimes they trade that much on an electronic basis in the matter of days or a week. It's crazy, okay? But there's unusual activity. Imagine that. There's unusual activity at the COMEX silver futures. One such highly unusual change is the emergence of a big managed money trader on the short side. That means they sold, okay? They sold it with the idea that they'd buy it back in the future at a lower price, which appears to be holding a net short position of roughly 10,000 contracts. Now, each contract is 5,000 ounces. So that means this person has essentially sold, okay, they sold 50 million ounces of silver. Now, to put that in perspective, to go back what we just talked about, 50 million ounces of silver is 5 10% of the entire world's production of silver during any given day. Is there manipulation going on at the COMEX? No, of course not, right? Go read Stuart Englert's book. Are they manipulating the price of silver? No. Ask the Chinese. Are they manipulating silver? There's some hilarious official Chinese news interviews where they're talking to the guys at the silver, where they refine all the silver in China, and they're laughing at the United States. These people say we need $100 silver. China, okay? Because the guy over there is like, we don't have enough silver. He said, and there's no incentive for the mines to make any more because the price is artificially low. He said, does it make any sense that in America, if we get a jobs number, a make-believe unicorn fart, that's the fart of the, I'm sorry, I'm using that's the F word on Ron's basement, fart. The unicorn fart of unicorn farts, the employment number, right? This guy's laughing at the United States saying, you get a good employment number and the price of silver goes down 10% in a week. He's like, it makes no sense. It's crazy. Okay, so is there manipulation? It's been proven. And it's been proven through extensive research. People like Ted Butler, all types of people that know a lot more about it, okay? I scratched the surface. I'm not a guru, but these guys know that there is definitely manipulation. It says this large managed money short trader first appeared a few months back, blah, blah, blah. There's no way of knowing in advance whether this big managed money short will be able to buy back the current large short position on lower prices again. But fortunately, we will come to learn that in future COT reports. Okay, that's commitment of traders. So this guy, this is the big thing, right? If he sells the short, right, he sold silver. He sold it, right? It's like they borrow it, but it's all electronic, and they sell it. That's the way it works. It's like the opposite of when you buy something like a stock or anything, right? You buy it and then you sell it in the future. This is the opposite. When they sell short, they sell first. That pushes down. That was downward pressure on the price of silver. At some point, he has to what's called cover that, which means then they have to, he or she, right? Because we know there's more women coming into the stacking community, has to buy it back. Right? So think about that. At some point, somebody's got to buy 50 million ounces of silver. And when people are buying, that makes the price go up. Ted says, it doesn't bother me in the least that this big managed money short exists for the simple reason that at some point, with silver prices lower or higher, this trader will buy back its large short position. As it stands, no chance of closing out the short position by actual physical delivery. Okay, and that's the other thing, right? What they're saying is like all this monkey business that goes on the COMEX. Very little of it gets settled in those are actual contracts to sell or buy that they're trading, but a fraction of it actually gets settled. Now, it bears repeating. I did a little research for you, okay? Yes, I did. Did a little research, okay? Guys, all that electronic, right? All the electronic contracts on the COMEX and the LBMA, just on the COMEX alone, I saw the most recent data. The actual physical silver that's available in the vaults of the COMEX that can be used to settle contracts, you're not going to believe this. It's still around 30 million ounces. That's less than this one short position. Just to put that into context, that's less than 3% of the world's annual production. That number, now it's been levitating around that 30 million ounce level, but nonetheless, that's all the silver there is to back up literally billions of contracts, right? It'd be like, I heard a great analogy. It'd be like if you went to McDonald's and went to the drive-thru and ordered yourself a Big Mac, And then you got up there to get your Big Mac, and the lady said, sorry, we sold that one Big Mac like 30 times, or some people even say 300 times over. And that's what's eventually, Stuart Englert, right? He wrote the book on the manipulation of the silver price. And, we were talking eventually, and you can watch my interview with him, what's gonna really be crazy in the silver market is when the physical market overcomes the electronic, meaning enough people say, I want my silver, okay? And the market says, oh, sorry, we don't have it. And can that happen? That happened at the LME with nickel, was it like a little over a year? Was it over a year? I don't know, a year ago, right? Yes, it can happen. It's an interesting world. The other big thing going on right now is the fact that there's new markets being established throughout the world. Okay, we aren't going to go down the yellow brick road path. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. And that is coming up. What is today? The 6th? What's that? 2 weeks. We're going to be hearing from the BRICS. Isn't that going to be fun? The BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, right? Guess what? They're all working in developing their own new markets for the metals. They're getting powerful. Just look at the IX. This is mine, right? CoinShop Chris was the first to recognize there's more women coming into the stacking. But think about the IC. Nobody likes to talk about the IC. Icky. It's a bad word, right? The IC, the I and the C, the India and the China alone, right? Right? 2.8 billion people, expanding middle class, economies that are growing 3 or 4 times the rate. Thank you, Neil. Wow. Yeah, we got a great article about platinum that I'm going to feature in a future live stream. Okay, but let's go right. India and China, expanding middle class, expanding economies, right? And they love precious metals. It's the opposite. It's the opposite. It's the opposite. Okay, I'm going to touch on platinum, Neil. Thank you for the reminder. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So what does that mean, right? They're developing their own markets. There's the Shanghai market where gold and silver are traded. These markets are becoming bigger and stronger, and eventually, is it common sense? Eventually, they're going to overcome? I don't know. We'll see. I could be wrong. Now, there's Ted Butler does talk about also a 50 million roughly ounce long position. But he actually thinks that's because of the type of trader that has this long position on in silver, that it's actually a very, very good thing. Okay. And he also points out he's got a code red for a code red market emergency. Okay. So we know how screwed up the I got Susie's yelling at me. I hear yelling and I'm like, what's going on? She's yelling cowbell. Cowbell. I don't understand. Here, 200. We got 200 thumbs up, man, you guys. I got to ring the cowbell. That was 20 rings. One ring for each 10 thumbs up. So all this is going on. Screwed up. Right? Electronic markets. It's screwed up. You think the U.S. government's financial situation screwed up? You think Jerome Powell is putting bubble gum and duct tape? I can just see him, right? On the monetary system. Well, I tell you what, the electronic exchanges for silver and gold, and I'm sure platinum as well, are screwed up, okay? Guys, let me touch on platinum real quick. It doesn't get enough attention, and Buddy Rumble's talking about it. I know Neil from Neil Hahn's Dynasty, right? He is the platinum guru. Go check out his channel. Neil knows more about platinum. He's recognized, okay? CoinShop Chris is becoming more bullish. CoinShop Chris, correct me if I'm wrong. I never want to put words in your mouth on platinum. I'm digging into platinum, okay? And I plan on making some platinum videos coming out in the future. I don't want to speak now because I have enough inaccuracies when I'm speaking, and I don't feel that right now I feel confident. But the story from platinum, and it has to do, I'll give you a little hint, with hydrogen and using the hydrogen to create energy. It's a very fascinating situation right now. If you, yes, you have a question, I warned you, okay? I want to hear from you right now. What's on your mind? What did I say that you don't agree with, okay? Type in the little thing where it says chat, I think it says, mine says say something, 3 question marks, and then whatever it is that you want me to talk about, and we'll cover that. This has been great, a great live stream so far, and it's about to get better, okay? Because now I get to hear from you. Ron, Richard Cooper. Who's Richard Cooper? Richard Cooper's our beloved friend in the UK. Can you please share your knowledge on the cost of mining silver and refining in relation to retail sales value? I'll tell you what I do know, and other people can add in. From what I understand, right now it costs, I hear different numbers, but it costs about $20 to $22 per ounce all in to mine an ounce of silver. And then to refine it, depending on how it's mined and at what state that it's delivered to a refiner, it's another $2 roughly to get it refined into like a doré bar or even a pure bar. So here, I mean, silver miners are not making money, or they're depending, right? That's an average. So some are making some money, but a lot aren't making money. And overall, on average, the industry is not making money. And the result of that has been that a lot of silver miners have pivoted into gold mining. Companies like Fortuna, First Majestic gave it a run. America's Gold and Silver. Hecla, like 4 years ago, bought a big gold mine. It was a disaster. Anyway, they aren't investing as much into developing more. This is crazy, guys. This is crazy. All right. They aren't investing. Okay. This is when you think about silver. Where's all this? We're getting the whole big story. The demand for silver is going to skyrocket, right? We know that. Solar, electric, you know that whole story. But the supply is going down, right? Fewer ounces are being produced every year by the miners, and the miners aren't making any money, okay? So they're not investing. They're not running drill rigs to find more silver. They're not permitting new silver mines. Where's the supply going to come from? What about Mexico? Mexico has become extremely unfriendly to mining companies. Where does 25, 30% of the world's silver come from every year? Yeah, can you guess? Yeah, Mexico. I mean, it is insane, okay? It is crazy. Premiums on American Eagles in my area, $1.49 over spot, Douglas Bird says. I tell you, it'll last, Douglas. Where are you? Hold on a minute here. Boy, oh boy. Someday I'll get this. Okay, Douglas Bird. It'll last until it doesn't last. If you can buy American Eagles for $1.50 over spot, where are you located, Douglas? We're all going to take a road trip. What do you say, guys? We all load up and go, because I'm ready to buy. I'm not questioning you. Yeah, it'll last until the market changes, obviously. That's why you come here, for prophetic statements like that, right? No, it'll last until the banking crisis heats up. It'll last until somebody breaks the COMEX. It'll last until the next event, because when the little events happen, look back over the last couple of years, when the little events, and we haven't had any big events, but when the little events happen, what happens to silver? It becomes unobtainable, and the premiums also shoot up. So that's how long it'll last. Hey, hold on. Thank you. Thank you, Neil. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Coin Shop Chris. Thank you, Susie, my wonderful wife, okay, for your help on the channel. This is not possible without them. Keith Burknell. Okay, here we go. We got another question. What do we need to look for to pick the right junior mining stock? Well, the first thing you can do is whatever I buy something else. Some of the things I look at with junior mining stocks, this is, I think, guys, and I made this up, and I have a whole file about this that I think really needs to be addressed when you're looking at a junior mining stock. Look at the management. Look at the CEO. Everybody will tell you this is the common mistake, in my opinion, and I've been guilty of it myself. Look at insider ownership. What's the percent of inside ownership in the company? Everybody will say that, right? They'll say, what's that guy's name? Eric Sprott owns 20% of the company. Or, the CEO owns 5% of the company. I don't care. You know why? I do care, but I don't care about what percent of the company the CEO owns. What I care about is what percent of the CEO's personal net worth does he have invested in the company. If the CEO owns 1% of the company, but he's got 75% of his own personal net worth in the company, to me, that's more important than the opposite, which would be a CEO that owns 10% of a company, but it's only 1% of his net worth. It's a drop in the bucket. So that's one thing. That's one thing I would look at. Look at jurisdiction. I like First Mining Gold because they're in Canada. I liked them a year ago when their stock was twice as much as it is right now. So bear that in mind. But all the mining stocks have pretty much, especially the junior mining stocks, have been treated that way. There's a lot of huge value in the junior gold and, well, there's not many silver ones out there, but in the junior gold and silver development area. Developers mean they're companies that have defined, they've already drilled, they've already defined that the gold is in the ground, but now they're at the stage of permitting and moving it forward through the stage. It's unbelievable, but it could get worse. So, be careful. Okay, let's keep going here. London, remember guys, if you have a question, 3 question marks. Okay, hold on. There was one up here. Bear with me. I'm getting to you, I think. Did I miss one? In reference to that COMEX short position, what does it say they sold at? That's a great question. That article was from July 30th. So I would think they probably maybe sold in the 24.50. You can look it up. Again, just put in Ted Butler, silver short, COMEX into Google, and it was on a website called investinghaven.com. Okay? But I believe it would be. Oh, thank you, Susie. Hey, Susie. Are you familiar with Neil Howe's fourth turning? Tree Man Rob says, cultural and economic cycles in the USA and beyond fascinating. In the 90s, he predicted the fall of the current system between 2008 and 2028. I don't know. I have heard of it, and I know that it's, like you said, a prediction, but no, I'm not. So I need to check that out. I know that everything goes in cycles. We know that. So no doubt about that. I'm trying to see if there's any more questions. Paul Dockey, gold, 1-to-1 with Dow Industrial Average. Gold to silver, what do you say? Yeah, it's interesting. What Paul's saying is, can the gold price be equal to the Dow? And gosh, it's funny, I don't even look at the Dow anymore. I think we're so trained to look at the S&P 500. But as I remember, that has happened many times throughout history, right? What would silver? And then, yeah, like you say, let me look real quick. Hold on, guys. Let's see what the Dow's at. 25 something, maybe? What the heck? I'm coming. Bear with me. Let's see what the Dow's at. This will be interesting. The Dow Jones Industrial What the heck? Here we go. I got it now. Here it comes. And the answer is, oh, the Dow's at 35,000. Wow. And if I have this correctly, I can't pull it up now. There have been times in history where the Dow and gold have been equal. So, yes, I love your idea that the Dow, he's saying that the Dow and let's say, and what would happen is the Dow Jones Industrial Average would come down, let's say to 20,000. Did you say that in there? Okay, so let's say the Dow drops to 20,000, but gold goes up to 20,000 per ounce. Then they're equal, right? They kind of meet there in the middle. And we've got a gold to silver ratio of 20 to 1. Well, that would be $1,000 silver. I'm going to get yelled at for even mentioning that. But you got to remember, guys, we look at everything. I know we all kind of are it's just natural. We look at everything within the context of what we've experienced, right? And all we've experienced is relative. I mean, things are crazy. The system is crazy right now. Bubblegum, duct tape, right? The monetary system, all that. But really, things, even though it's crazy, have remained rather stable. If things become unstable, if big events do happen, then we can throw the context out the door. And we could have unbelievable, measured in fiat dollar terms, unbelievable levels on the metals, right? I know it seems unfathomable, but it is possible. And do these big events happen? Well, I don't know. Ask the Romans, ask the Spanish, ask the British, ask the Dutch, ask the Germans, ask the Venezuelans, ask the Zimbabweans. Excuse me, they do happen, okay? They do happen. Who's going to buy silver at $60? You know what? I know we get that. People, again, we look at it within the context of what we've been trained, what we've experienced to now. So outside of that context, we could have a lot of people lining up to buy your silver for $60. And don't forget, what I recommend, I'm not giving financial advice, is don't sell it all, don't convert it all at once. I would even recommend against converting it into paper, because if things get crazy, you don't want that paper. Remember, wheelbarrows full of paper to buy a loaf of bread, okay? So if you are going to convert it, don't do it all at once, and don't convert it into paper unless you're immediately going to use it to convert it into a piece of real estate or something real. All right, guys. Thank you. This has been great. All right, one more question.
Look at Daughter of Patriots.
Daughter of Patriots. Susie's yelling at me. Daughter of Patriots. Is it a question, Susie?
Yeah.
Okay, my boss is yelling at me. Daughter of Patriots. I'm coming down the line. I see Ann Williams, Sarge, Glue, Daughter of Patriots. Daughter of Patriots. I guess you guys are going to get, I can't find it. Daughter of Patriots. Daughter of Patriots. I'm sorry I missed your question. Email it to me and I'll talk about it on the next live stream. Okay, guys? Hey, thank you for joining me. Thank you for the super chats. I'm having a coughing attack. I'm overwhelmed by your generosity and support, everything you've done for this channel. Do you want me to try to can we get to 300 thumbs up? We only have 30 more to go. My batteries are running low, but I will hang out here with you basement dwellers. Can we please get 300 thumbs up? Let me get a drink of water. I'll re-energize. 300! We got 280. Can we get 300? Come on, guys. There was another question. Hold on. Thomas Drellick says, anyone know about SVM Silver Corp Metals, a Chinese-focused silver miner? I don't. I do know there's a silver mining company out there that's headed up by an Asian gentleman. My memory is gone. I've been on here for an hour now, so please bear with me. But he is very, very bullish on the silver market and solar. I mean, guys, don't forget this AZN or AZN, I don't know, this biggest bank in Australia, right? They said that, like, what was it? Like in 2 years, the solar industry could be using 53% of the world's silver supply because this is, I'm all right. I get so excited about this. This is exciting because there's more and more number of solar panels being built every year. More and more and more, right? The number is going up. Silver goes into every one of those solar panels. Is that the end of the story? No, because there's even more good news, and that is that the newer forms of solar panels that are just now starting to be manufactured actually use more silver. Can we get 3 more thumbs up? We're almost there. I'll ring the, oh gosh. You know what? I haven't done it for a while. What the heck, guys? I don't want to get myself in trouble, but I'll ring the bell with my nose. A question? Okay, I am. Woo! 3 rings with the nose. It's been a while. I'm looking at the questions. Susie's yelling at me. Everybody's yelling at me. I bet CoinShop Chris was here. He'd be yelling at me. Okay, I'm looking. I'm getting down here, guys. Susie says, look at the questions. What question, Susie? Will BRICS affect the price of gold? Yes, will BRICS affect the price of gold? Sorry, Susie's yelling at me. We do have a close chute she could communicate through from upstairs. That's a great question. The BRICS meeting comes up here on August 22nd. It's a big deal right now. And I made a video about this. There were all these reports. I was guilty of it as well, right? Like 3-4 weeks ago, we had all this hoopla that the BRICS were going to announce a gold-backed currency at their meeting, right? And then there was a report out of a Russian embassy. I believe it was like in one of the African countries, but it was from a Russian embassy, reported on RT, the Russian Times, that said they were going to announce a gold-backed currency. So, it seemed a little fishy, but mostly legit. And people ran with it, right? It was a hot subject. All the YouTubers were making videos. Hey, we're getting a gold-backed currency. Yeah, right? Now, just last week, we got a report out of the Kremlin on the Sputnik news agency. Thank you. Oh, my gosh. Somebody gave me a $10 super chat. Mario? Wow. Thank you. You're a basement dweller. You're all basement dwellers. Thank you, Mario. Super appreciated. Super chat. Thank you. But there was an official report out of Sputnik, out of the Kremlin, from Dimitrov, whoever, official. They're not only did they didn't say anything about a gold-backed currency, but this statement basically said, we aren't ready to launch a BRICS currency. The word is failing me here, but we're not ready to launch this new currency just yet. It's very complicated, so we're probably not. Okay, that's the bad news. I think the good news is we're going to get a series of announcements out of this meeting. The momentum within the BRICS is growing. The de-dollarization momentum is growing. So will the BRICS, yes, they will absolutely have a positive impact on the price of silver and gold as we go into the future. It's going to be super interesting. I'm going to be here with you through it all. Look, I'm going to sign off, but before I do that, I just want to say thank you. Okay, we are basement dwellers. We have a common interest. I think we're bound together by our desire at its core to provide safety and well-being for ourselves and our family and our friends, right? And we know the big picture about what's going on. Nobody has a crystal ball. You don't, I don't, Buddy Rumble does, okay? But nonetheless, we're not afraid to dive in, to dig in and see what's going on out there. And it's a lot of fun doing it. And, you know, it's a lot of work. And there's a lot of people that make this happen. Again, Coin Shop Chris, Susie, Neil from Neil Hans Dynasty, and Mary Radcliffe, okay? And a lot of other people, and that's you. Because without you being here, there's no Ron's Basement. You do belong here, okay? If you haven't subscribed and you're still with us, please consider subscribing to the channel. And if you give this a thumbs up, that always helps. Guys, I'm going to look forward to seeing you next time. I think I might be back on tonight because we got a little something to party about, a short live stream later on. Thank you. Okay. Have a great day. Be nice to yourself, and I'll see you soon.